All right, let's verify that this is going successfully. Okay. We appear to be broadcasting. Let me just see if I can confirm audio is playing successfully. Here we go. Let's try this. Okay, I've confirmed audio successfully, and we are broadcasting again. So today is March the 4th of 2025. I'm Jay Essen, and we are resuming after last week's rather unfortunate stream of the little match girl at the Battle of the Grey Peaks, which I recorded without audio. I plan at some point to go back and record narration over the existing video, so we'll address that later. For now, it is time for The Little Match Girl in the Court of Maal Dweb, a tribute to one of weird fiction's great authors and an entry in Ectocomp 2024. This story is a bit scarier than most games in the series. People say it takes about 2 hours to finish. So we're going to go ahead and start this. This is a game I've opened it, I believe, when it first came out, but I was interrupted almost immediately, so I have almost no recollection of anything contained within. So this will be my first time coming through. Alas, for what have I to offer thee? Chill halls of mind, dank rooms of memory, where thou shalt dwell with woes and thoughts infirm. This rumor-thronged citadel of sense, trembling before some nameless imminence, and fellow guestship with the glutless worm. C.A.S., who I believe is Clark Ashton Smith, if my pre-stream web searches are to be believed. The woman in the saber-tooth pelt is the first to speak. I am Patuk, first among warriors. By blood oath I am bound to defend Queen Abe and her nameless glacier realm. Though I command no magics, I am known as the greatest hunter in Abe's domain. The axe I wield is of star iron. 19 throats is its name until it kills again. Next, the boy wearing a monk's tunic. I am Matin, a knight in thrall to the vampire king. I am trained in every art of sortilege and witchcraft, the domination over and casting out of demons, the merciless techniques of the Inquisitors, and the prediction of the future. This spiked mace is named Redfell. It bears 7 sacred blessings and 6 baleful curses, and may kill any creature that may die. Everyone turns to you. Deep breath. My name is Ebenezabeth, you say. I'm here at the request of Poseidon, king of Atlantis. I can travel to different places by looking at fire. I have this revolver. You raise it for them to see. It doesn't have a name, though. The last in the circle is the Cyberwight. I am Kidnaret, knight of Alkex, cybermancer king of Udzbete, Alkex, who gave me life. I adore my liege beyond speech, and would be both knight and partner to him. Kidnaret lowers his head. But love between Cybermancer and Cyberwight is forbidden. Thus I serve Alkex in silence and reveal nothing of my feelings. He looks up. My beam sword is called Heartblazer. It's built into my arm. He demonstrates, and the rest of you nod. Listen, Patek barks. The werewolf Imrath has come unstuck in time. His ravages threaten all our master's kingdoms. We are assembled in these woods to hunt and slay him. The Little Match Girl in the Court of Maal Dweb. A weird fairy tale by Hans Christian Andersen with apologies to Clark Ashton Smith. Release 1, serial number 241204, Inform 7, version 10.1.2, Vorpal version 4.0.1. Camp. To our task, cries Patek. She and Matin hurry away. 4 small tents are huddled around the campfire, a dim circle of warmth in the darkness. The forest is thick, and there's no sign of any starlight above. You can just make out a pair of paths leading north and west. Kidnaret remains seated, apparently deep in thought. So I do remember now wandering around briefly with this set of people arrayed about the woods and examining them and talking to them. Examine me. You're a little girl of 17 with flaccid curls and a revolver. Patek and Metin and Kidnaret are real warriors. Nothing you've done comes close to their accomplishments. Why are you here? Because Poseidon asked you for help. Let's examine Kidnaret. The hardware covering the Cyberwhite's body conceals most signs of decay. There's nothing of the revenant in his expression, however. His eyes glitter with constant thought. His lips are pursed in careful concern. Are you okay? We ask when talking to him. Kidnaret nods. I'm using adjective association to predict Imrath's likely mode of attack. We'll be ready for him, assuming there's a finite solution for this set of equations. The monitor in his chest begins displaying an endless stream of numbers, letters, and more arcane symbols. You nod helplessly. You should keep an eye out in the meantime, he says. The display blinks out. I predict it'll take all 4 of us to take Imrath down. Okay. Let's check out these tents. The tents all look alike, and in the darkness of the woods it can be difficult to tell which one is yours. But can I tell which one is mine? I cannot. Okay. So, let's examine the woods. These woods seem to be a place of endless night. How deep is this forest? What lies at its edge? Where are you? And the fire? Only a few fingers of flame curl around the blackened logs, but they welcome you readily and carry you away. Right, because we're the little match girl, so looking at the fire is going to transport us. I actually forgot that for a moment. We are now in Kumamoto University Hospital, waiting room, midnight. The only light comes from the holographic aquarium, bathing you and the rows of chairs in uncanny ultra pink. The reception desk is unattended, and the passage to the west is open. To return, you need only wake up. So, okay, our main campfire goes to the University Hospital. Let us go ahead and wake up. We'll explore the destinations more once we have thoroughly examined the woods. Let's go west first, to the clearing. The one place in the woods where you ought to be able to see the sky. A torch burns at the center of the clearing, exposing you to anything lurking outside. Paths between the trees lead north, east, and southwest. Okay. Well, can we see the sky then? If the sky is indeed above you, it is a sky without stars. Okay. And let us consider this torch. You focus on the flickering fire, and it ushers you away. To Ulysses Colley's lava tube. You recognize the dull xanthous sky at once. You're back on Mars. A steep slope of rusty stone, the flank of a long-dead volcano, rises to the west. At its base, the opening of a lava tube has been hastily barricaded with a row of plastic barrels. A trail around the volcano leads southwest. Okay. Well, we'll be coming back here. Let's examine this sky. No clouds. The sky itself is cast in sickly yellow. And the barrels? The entrance to some cave system below the volcano. Sunlight doesn't penetrate far beyond the opening. Plastic barrels, lashed together with nylon cord, form an ersatz blockade at the tube's threshold. The center barrel has a sheet of printer paper taped to it. We read the paper. Keep out, the paper says, in very large letters. In smaller type, it goes on. We don't know what the thing in the caves is. All our evidence indicates that its effects are irreversible. Until help arrives, stay away. So that's encouraging. So here we are back in the woods. Let's go southwest now to a ruin. A torch stands over a toppled marble column. The way back is northeast. As to the column seems to block the path, if it really is a path. Well, let's check out this torch. You gaze into the burning torch and it takes your hand. Diablito, Texas. Main road. Wind whistles down the dusty street. The stars are out. A tiny child watches you from a doorway, eyes wide, until her parent pulls her away, shuts the door. All the windows are dark, curtains drawn. The street is empty. But there are some awake-looking buildings at the north and south ends of town. Maybe I played more of this than I thought, because I remember more of this, but I don't remember how it is resolved. Let's wake up again after we check out some of these things. Let's examine windows. You can feel the dread in every home, behind every door. The town is holding its breath. Buildings? Yeah, okay. Same text. Let us just wake up. Okay, so let's go back to the northeast, and this time let's go north. Here is a log. Paths from the north, east, and south meet here. A burning torch stands on one side of the crossroads. A fallen log lies on the other. Patek is standing very still, staring into the blackness of the woods. Without turning her head, she waves you forward. I am adhering to my usual standard when confronted with an unfamiliar word. When there are characters that I'm not sure how to pronounce, my first instinct is just to ignore them. Hence, I'm going to pronounce this Patek when it could be more like a 3-syllable word, but I'm not sure how I would interpret that. W can function in manners similar to a vowel in certain circumstances, but I'm not going to try it under these circumstances. Let's examine her. Beneath her saber-toothed pelt, Patek wears a brigandine of tightly woven reeds. She's chewing on something as she stands watch, and once in a while she spits silently into the darkness. Her axe is always in her hand. She doesn't have a belt or anything to hang it on. We talk to her. She raises a hand to silence you, sniffs the air. We're safe for the moment, she says. What did you want to ask me? How do you know so much about Imrath? She nods. He attacked my homeland first, only because my home is many thousands of years earlier than yours. With careful scrying, Queen Abe's wizards were able to discern that the werewolf had traveled through time to attack us, and so sent a summons into the future to his other victims. Does she have more to say? Is this Imrath's home, you ask? It is possible. His stench is everywhere. And what other realm should a beast of his nature call home, if not the woods outside of time? Is that where we are? Patek closes her eyes. Yes, little girl. Okay. So, let's check this area out a little bit. We have a log. The huge log is slowly decaying. The torchlight catches sinuous furrows in the damp wood. And, of course, we have the torch. You stare into the burning torch, and it carries you to the Rachelou Girls' School. Hallway. The rows of lockers are interrupted by a steel gate drawn across the corridor, cutting you off from the rest of the school. The air is cold and still. The lights are out. The only illumination shines through the plate glass doors at the east end of the hall. A door to the north is labeled Gymnasium. To the south, Wood Shop. This gate, a retractable gate is stretched across the hall to the west. Through the bars, you can see more doorways, more lockers stretching into darkness. And the lockers. Each locker is identical to its neighbors. Okay. Well, we could explore, but of course, first I'm just going to wake up and travel north from the log to the pit. A torch stands at the edge of a broad ditch. Even in the torchlight, it's too dark to see the other side. The way back is south. try to examine the ditch. The edge of the pit is smooth enough that you could believe it was dug artificially. Well, you could believe a lot of things. And let's examine this torch. This brings us to Zicharth. Ledge. The outcropping gives you barely enough room to stand. By the meager light of 2 crescent moons, you take in your surroundings. Below, a vast labyrinth stretches beyond your vision. Above, the cliff face joins imperceptibly with the crenellations of a black fortress. As I indicated before, I did a brief search on Maal Dweb to see if I could verify how other people pronounce this, and there were several audiobook recordings of something to do with Zicharth, though I can't remember if that was actually how it's pronounced. So the vast labyrinth is rather significant to the setting, I understand. Let's examine it. The labyrinth is formed from dull stone, gleaming metal, and unrecognizable plants. You can't discern any symmetries or repetitions in its structure. And the fortress. The highest parts of the cliff have clearly been cut according to some architectural scheme. A balcony or the top of a tower is up there. Okay. And the cliff. The rock is jagged, almost crystalline, and you don't see any flat areas other than the one you're standing on. So, this I would almost struggle to conceive how we navigate if not for the fact that we can just choose to go up and down. But for now, we are just simply going to wake up and return to the woods. And we'll go back south. And now we will travel to the east. Thicket. A torch stands at the edge of a thick cluster of trees, crowded with scraggly bushes. Paths lead to the east, south, and west. A shape emerges from the far side of the thicket. It's Matin. We examine Matin. There's a crimson glint in Matin's eye, quite a different color from the nearby torch. It must be some night vision spell. A series of sigils is embroidered down the back of his cloak. Some of them you've seen before, in churches. Others give you an inexpressible queasy feeling. His right hand is never far from the handle of his spiked mace. We talk to Matin. It seems inappropriate to ask, but you have to know. You can see the future? Some of it, he says. I suppose you want me to read your fortune? You nod meekly. It would be my pleasure, once Imreth is laid low. Except I didn't bring my cards on this excursion. Oh, you say. Let's talk again. Who is the Vampire King? Matin glances around cautiously. In these woods, so far as I know, there are no vampires and no Vampire King. But in the age from which I hail, the king of all vampires is called Ackerbelts. Sometimes he claims to be half-devil, sometimes he claims to be the Antichrist. I know only that we who serve him need not fear his depredations. Then you're not a vampire yourself? You ask. He shakes his head ruefully. I killed a vampire once, you say. I feel terrible about it. Now Matin frowns. I find that very hard to believe. If we talk a third time, we need to focus on destroying Imrath, says Matin. But after that, I'll gladly read your fortune, if you can find me an appropriate pack of cards. So I guess we should keep an eye out for cards while we're traveling. Here we are at the thicket. Let's look at the trees. These woods seem to be a place of endless night. How deep is this forest? What lies at its edge? What exactly does outside of time mean? And let's see what this torch leads to. This one carries us to Crescent Beach, Oregon. Hideaway. The sun has set. Now the sky is gloomy purple, giving way to blackness. Sheer walls of rock surround this patch of gray sand, protecting it from the waves for the moment. The rocks give way and the beach opens up to the north. We check out the waves. The tide is coming in. Waves are licking at your heels. And the rock walls. The craggy walls are slick with sea slime. And the beach. The rough sand doesn't pick up any colors of the sunset. It's the color of ash. So, a very dark beach in Oregon. Let's wake up. Now, we go east to the gully. The path ends abruptly at a dry creek bed. If not for the torch standing at the edge, you might have fallen in. The way back is west. So let's look at the creek bed. You lean over the gully. The torchlight is faint. You're not sure if you can see the bottom. And let's check out the torch. This one takes us to Kirchheirenbach, Bavaria, outside a chapel. A lonely chapel on a hill, saddled between two hilltops to the east and southwest. A spindly pole stands near the church, lit only by starlight. A path leads down the hill. Let's examine the chapel. The chapel is dark. The door faces you. Okay. Let's examine the pole. There's something at the top of the pole. So I suspect we'll want to climb this, but I just want to verify first that this should be the last of our destinations that we initially have access to, because if we go back to the west and then to the south, we are back at camp. Let's talk to Kidneret again, since we've established that they do usually have multiple things to say. I'm sorry about you and Alkex, you tell Kidneret. Why did you say that? You shouldn't have said anything. He sighs. I try to console myself by imagining that the tale of my unrequited love might ease the pain of future generations. But in my age, the earth is dying. I doubt if another generation will survive to hear any tales at all. You really shouldn't have said anything. Well, that's unfortunate. Keep up the good work, you tell Kidneret. He gives you a thumbs up. Nobody says anything stupid or depressing, which is an improvement, I suppose. Okay, so we have established our circuit. We essentially have 3 areas with connecting cul-de-sacs, and this is the only one that does not have anyone at it, which makes me actually think this is the one we should start at. This would be our station, so to speak. But let's go southwest first and check out this torch. So that brings us back to Diablito, Texas. Diabolito? Maybe that's intended to be an extra syllable. Okay, so all the windows are dark, curtains drawn, and there are awake-looking buildings to the north and south ends of town. Let's go south first. To the south end of town, the only place that's open down here is the blacksmith shop to the west. Let's check out that shop. It's mostly open to the air. The nearby buildings have some extra soot on them. Let's get in there. Blacksmith. The blacksmith makes a show of putting away his tongs so he can give you his full attention. The forge behind him keeps the place warm and friendly feeling, even if everything is covered in soot. Let's examine the blacksmith. His face and clothes are covered in soot, so his huge smile stands out all the brighter. He stands with arms folded over his heavy apron, eager to find out what happens next. What happens next is we talk to him. Good evening, you say. My name is Ebenezabeth Scrooge. I'm hunting the werewolf, Imrath. Good evening yourself, Ebenezabeth Scrooge. My name is Melchor Rodriguez Calderon. I'm not brave enough to hunt any werewolf, but apparently I'm foolish enough to keep my business open when a werewolf is stalking the town. Have you seen him yourself? Not yet. Well, good luck. If there's any way I can help, just let me know. Okay. Let's examine his forge. The fire inside this surface must be something to see, but the little doors are closed. Wonder if we can open the little doors. You need special equipment to do that. What if we talk to the blacksmith again? Do you know anything about the werewolf? Not really, Melchior says. He's supposed to be one ugly son of a gun, though. Is that useful information? Maybe. Found him yet? Asks Melchior. You shake your head. Okay, so we do not have any clear leads from this end of town, but let's go ahead and continue to the north. Go out first and go to the main road, and now the north end of town. The church at the end of the street is condemned, says the sign, but the sheriff's office to the west has its door open, and there's a light on in the saloon to the east. So we actually have 2 or possibly 3 areas to visit. Let's examine the church first. The church this way. The way this church is falling apart, you don't need a sign to tell you to stay outside. So, okay, 2 areas. Let's examine the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office doesn't look any more cheerful than the rest of the town, open door notwithstanding. And the saloon. It's open for business, but it sure looks dead. Let's visit the sheriff first. The sheriff leans. Okay, so sheriff's office. The sheriff leans over his desk, running his fingers through his thinning hair. The holding cell behind him is empty. We examine the sheriff. He looks to be right near the end of his rope. He hasn't slept in a good long while. Let's talk to him. The sheriff is not pleased to see you. You ought to be home in bed, missy. I'm hunting a werewolf, you tell him. He rolls his eyes. Then you're stupider than anybody in town. Well, have it your own way, little girl. And he turns away. You talk again. Anything you could tell me about the werewolf would be very helpful. He huffs. I bet it would if I knew anything, but I'm as empty-handed as anybody else. So we are out of luck here as well. Let's see if we could have examined the holding cell, but just a moment. Pardon me. Okay. Yeah, let's go back in. Enter office. Examine holding cell. The cell door is closed. You don't see the key anywhere, but you're not in any hurry to get inside. Let's check out the desk as well. The sheriff's desk has 8 or 10 drawers, several of which seem to be stuck half open. I don't imagine this will work, but let's try looking in the desk. The contents of the desk are no doubt very important to the sheriff, but you find nothing to interest you. Okay. Let's see if we can sing a little song for the sheriff. Oh boy. Sina samna tusna blian si an kran marb dirat an tuat. That is not our usual contemporary music. That is, I don't know, that almost seems Gaelic or the language of the deep ones. I don't know. Let's get back outside and enter the saloon. The barman is slumped over his bar, not drunk, just fed up with one thing after another. The only other person here is the corpse face down on the floor. Great. Okay. Let's examine the barman first. You recognize the look in his eyes. He has had to put up with one too many volleys from life's constant barrage of nonsense. Let's go ahead and talk to him. Are you okay, sir? He shakes his head. You have no idea. Okay. Can I help with anything? He looks at you helplessly. Just go live your life, little girl. Try to be happy, okay? Okay. Let's check out this corpse. A cold body, oozing blood. I'll take care of it in the morning, the bartender promises. The dead man's hand clutches a single poker card. If we check out the card, it's the 3 of diamonds, crumpled somewhat by rigor mortis. We'll go ahead and take it and show it to the barman. Show card to barman. He doesn't even look at it. Keep it, he says. He sure as heck doesn't need it anymore. Okay, so we've gotten a poker card. Wonder if we can show this to any of the guys around here. But first, let's examine the bar. The bar needs cleaning, but without any customers, it's not much of an issue. We show the card to the sheriff. He frowns. I don't got no time for no gambling at the moment, little girl. Okay. Oh, we go west to get in. Right. Melkor is only mildly interested in the poker card. Okay. Well, I think we have, for the moment, exhausted Texas. So let us return to the woods. Go northeast, back to the clearing. Let's examine this torch. To Mars. Lava tube. Steep slope of rusty stone. The flank of a long dead volcano rises to the west. Trail around the volcano leads southwest. Can we go west? Yeah, we cannot. Okay. Let's go southwest to the crater. At the south side of the volcano, an impact crater cuts into the Martian surface. The trail curves northeast around the volcano and northwest toward a domed building. A stone standing at the lip of the crater has a sheet of printer paper taped to it. We examine the paper. It is battered and discolored by dusty winds. The paper reads, "Whoso filleth this crater with potable water is rightwise emperor of all Mars." Okay, so was Mars one of the places we visited in the last couple games? I feel like it was. I'm just getting mixed up because I have recently played some games off stream, and I want to make sure we're not delving too deeply into those games. But I think we did confirm already that Mars received water. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that in Teaches a Virtue to a Goblin, we got to visit Mars, and it had been irrigated by a professor, and there was a fountain with exorbitant water displays. So clearly we are going to be setting up that eventual future through the events here, I suspect. So let's examine the crater. The pit is perhaps a quarter mile in diameter. Its deepest point might be 50 feet down. Its interior is nearly featureless, a smooth basin of unglazed terracotta. Okay. I'm impressed that whoever is using a printer to establish these rather slapdash warning signs is apparently empowered to establish an emperor of Mars. Let's go northwest towards that building, though. You approach the building and pass through the airlock without difficulty. Lounge. Couches are ripped open, the refrigerator's door is torn off, mingled pieces of broken furniture, board games, and spoiled food cover the floor. Paths through the station lead east and west. The way out is southeast. So this kind of seems as though the werewolf has already attacked this establishment. Let's examine the couches. All the upholstery has been slashed apart, the foam inside strewn across the room. Let's check out the fridge. The refrigerator doors pulled off its hinges and flung across the room. Everything inside was thrown to the floor. All that's left inside are stains. We examine the stains. The stains might have been there before whatever incident caused all this destruction. And then let's examine the board games. There's no point trying to sort out all the wreckage. It's all you can do to find a clear path from room to room. An intact Uno card catches your eye. Okay, so we are collecting cards. Are we going to rebuild this guy's deck out of a hodgepodge of random, cards from different sets? This is feeling rather Balatro-esque. Let's examine that Uno card. It's a red 2 card. The only reason it caught your attention is that it wasn't ripped in half. Okay. Let's examine the spoiled food. Yeah, no, it's still just as much a part of the wreckage. Okay, so we can go west or east. Let's go east first to the office. Whatever ravaged the lounge doesn't seem to have found its way here. A plastic folding table serves for a desk covered in arcane scientific documents. Taped to the wall is a map of Mars. The way out is west. A cheap office chair stands nearby. Well, I'm kind of curious about that chair since it's standing in its own paragraph. A computer chair on plastic casters, the bare minimum of professionalism. So I suspect we'll be able to push this but not take it. Let's try taking it. Yeah, you can't carry this chair around, but you could push it from place to place. Okay, let's examine the map. The map takes in the entire planet of Mars, but its owner might have preferred something more specialized. All the little notes and markings are crowded into a small segment of the Western Hemisphere. Okay. Let's examine the documents. The papers on the table have to do with infrastructure, climate rehabilitation, detailed calculations of bandwidth. All of this is over your head. But a penciled checklist on one paper is intelligible. Blockade tunnel? Checked. Call for help? Get out of here. Finish report. So, that suggests they are either inside the tunnel or outside the tunnel. We need to find a tunnel. Is that the barrels that we passed earlier? I think that must be the case. The lava tube that we passed. Let's see what else is in here. We had this was just a plastic table. Can we take the map? It's not for us to carry around. Let's go west. To the medical lab. You're no expert, but this facility looks woefully under-equipped. The shelves and cupboards are mostly empty. There's only one sink. The way out is east. On the top shelf is a binder labeled Cave Report. A woman is strapped to a bed nearby. Let's examine the woman. Her mouth is wide open. Her breath is raspy. Her eyes are completely black. That's discouraging. Talk to the woman. You approach her slowly. Ma'am? She doesn't respond. She just starts flailing against her restraints, groaning piteously. But she can't keep it up for long, and at last she stops. Okay, that's troubling. Let's look at this cave report. The top shelf is too high for us to reach. Okay, so here we have the reason to be able to push this chair. Push chair west. Oh boy. Okay, so I stepped east a couple times to get back to the office to push the chair to the west, and when we do, you push the chair along. The office chair stops rolling. A man staggers out of the airlock. He pulls off his helmet, revealing a mop of greasy hair. Then he turns and stares at you with black, empty eyes. He steps toward you. Your hand touches your revolver. Please don't make me kill this man, please. He trudges closer. Your hand is drawing your weapon. The man shoves you out of the way. He takes a few more steps, then collapses on a mangled couch. He coughs a couple times, then spits a wad of black stuff at the wall. Well, this was a little suspenseful. Let's talk to the man. Sir? He doesn't seem to notice you. Well, that's encouraging. Let's go ahead and just push our chair. Let's examine the man first. His forehead is sweaty. Black streaks of dried mucus are caught in his stubble. There's no emotion on his face, nothing hidden in his black eyes. Let's push the chair west. And stand on chair. You carefully climb on top of the chair. The more weight you put on it, the more it wiggles. Let's take the cave report. You take the cave report binder. We read it. Right, it's closed. The black binder, the spine says cave report, the cover's closed. Open cover and read it. Okay, first page in the binder reads 27 Libra 219. After instruments confirmed that the cave at the east foot of the volcano was stable, Kovac and Pedrosa volunteered to explore it on foot. After a few minutes, they left communications range, in which case they had been instructed to turn around immediately and retrace their steps to the entrance. They didn't turn around immediately. Instead, they remained out of communications range for about half an hour. When we picked up their signal again, they didn't respond to any of our transmissions. We had to rely on instruments to establish that they were moving back toward the cave entrance, however slowly. When they exited, we found them in essentially a catatonic state. Kovac completely ignored us, except to express discomfort when we tried to check her vitals. Pedrosa was similarly unresponsive until he refused medical attention by shoving Nesbit across the lounge. Both of them exhibited the same physiological symptoms. A black fluid covers the entirety of both eyes. We can't determine whether it impedes their vision. After any sort of exertion, they start coughing up black mucus, which might be the same substance covering their eyes. Very difficult to make any close observations. They ignore spoken requests and respond violently to being touched. There's more on the next page. Let's read the next page. 28 Libra 219. Managed to restrain Kovac and Pedrosa. At Gunning's suggestion, we sent a drone into the cave rather than investigate in person. After about 10 minutes of fruitless searching, the drone got stuck on a rock. I told Gunning not to go in and get it. Nothing we've tried on Kovac or Pedrosa has done anything to alleviate their conditions. There's more on the next page. So, first Tula 219. With considerable difficulty, we loaded Kovac and Pedrosa into the rover, and Gunning drove them to Charters Station, where they have a proper medical facility. Without the rover, Nesbit and I are trapped and helpless. The situation is very worrying, but we'll be fine as long as we're careful. Later, Nesbit went into the cave, came back eyes black, drooling black spit. Fortunately, I can analyze the records of her vitals against the feed from her camera. First, I have to restrain Nesbit. There's no punctuation, so that's not encouraging. There's more on the next page. Second Tula 219. At 4:09 in this feed, she says, "There's something in here." She moves her flashlight, and then there's a drastic change in brain activity. Too fast for anything to have physically affected her. It must have happened in the instant that she saw whatever it was. There's probably an image of it in the video feed. I can't predict whether it'll have the same effect when viewed indirectly. The possibility that there's some useful information on the tape isn't worth the risk. I just have to stop myself from watching the video until Gunning gets back from Charters. That's the last page. Okay, so we have some names here. Kovac and Pedrosa should be out of play since they were being sent to the other facility by Gunning. Nesbit and the writer are here in the station. I believe then we examine Nesbit, that should be the woman. Yes, her mouth is wide open, her breath is raspy, her eyes are completely black. Let's examine the sink. A simple hospital-style sink with hot and cold taps. You turn the tap, nothing happens. Okay, so you can't turn on the sink. Let us go east. Couch is ripped open, the refrigerator's door is torn off. Right. So I don't know if we have the man's name, but he's probably the writer. We have... I don't think this will do anything, but yeah, he won't even look at the cave report binder. He's unresponsive. He's as unresponsive as she is. Oh, I forgot to mention, we did get off the office chair successfully. The chair wobbles sickeningly as you lower yourself. Easy does it to the floor. Okay. I don't have a good feeling about exploring the volcano with the trouble in the cave, but I don't know if there's more we should do here or if we should even try. For now, let's go ahead and wake up. So now we are back in the clearing. That, I think, is the two areas in our most immediate surroundings. So let's go north to Patek's place. Let's talk to Patek. You don't want to embarrass yourself further. Okay, so yeah, we're not even going to try to interact again. Let us go north first and examine this torch. To Zikharf. Let's go up to the fortress You don't have the goat-like agility, or failing that, the specialized equipment it would take to scale this sheer and sharp-edged cliff. Okay, if we go down. The labyrinth is at least 100 feet below, and you can't see a safe place to even take one step down. So this may not be a place we can explore for now. Let's check out these moons. Neither of these moons are familiar to you, and the stars beyond are not the stars of Earth. Okay. Yeah, there's not a whole lot that we can do here. Let's go south and examine this torch. To the girls' school. Hallway, lockers, illumination through the plate glass doors to the east end of the hall. A door to the north is labeled gymnasium, to the south wood shop. Can we go east? We can. Oh, okay. I didn't realize this. Hallway. Streaks of snow speed past the plate glass doors to the east, blue-white on blue-white. Nothing else is visible in the blizzard. The hallway continues to the west toward a steel gate. A door to the north bears the label locker room, and a door to the south reads music lab. A girl in a puffy jacket stands nearby, staring into the snow. We examine her. The sheer volume of her jacket above her coffee stirrer legs makes her look a little top-heavy and a little ridiculous, but her expression is deadly serious. She gives you a little nod. We talk to the girl. She looks you over. You don't go to this school. No, my name's Ebenezabeth. I'm looking for, hunting, Imrath the werewolf. He's out there, she says, nodding at the blizzard, and we're locked in here. I'm Privacy, by the way. It's very nice to meet you. Let's talk to Privacy again. I've never met someone named Privacy before. She shrugs. It's a pretty common name in Neo-Antarctica. There was another Privacy in my 5th grade class, but she ended up going to public school. If it's awkward for you, some of my friends call me C, but not Pri, please. Privacy is fine, you tell her. Okay, so we're in Neo-Antarctica. That makes sense. Antarctica is a kind of a classical horror setting, so naturally we would be in a Neo-Antarctica. Do we know what year it is? We may not have that information currently. Okay, so let's look again. And the hallway. So we are at the east end of the hallway? Yeah, you'd freeze to death out there, little match girl. So east is the exit. So we can go north to the locker room, south to the music lab, and there are 2 rooms on the other end of the hallway. What if we show the report to Privacy? Privacy skims the binder. Well, geez, if we can't look at him, what are we supposed to do? That's a good question. Let's show her our Uno card. She tilts her head. Neat. I suspect we'll get the same result from the poker card. Yep, okay. And what about the revolver? Privacy inspects your revolver. Is that an antique? It looks like it'd be worth a lot of money. Well, I can't sell it, you say. I need it. All right. That's everything we're carrying. Let's explore these rooms, starting with we've got gymnasium to the north, woodshop to the south. First opening the woodshop door, first unlocking the woodshop door. You lack a key that fits the woodshop door. Can we go to the gymnasium? Okay, we can. Gymnasium. The room is huge and your footfalls on the hardwood echo conspicuously, no matter how quietly you step. Exercise mats are strewn across the floor, not in any places where it'd be convenient to walk. One exit lies to the south, another seemingly a long walk away to the east. Tall letters are painted on the north wall. Fight on, Rachelou Sassies! A girl in fleece pajamas lurks in the southeast corner. We examine her. She's very wary, but she can tell you're not a threat. You're a teenage girl like her. We talk to her. She gives you a little nod to tell you you're okay. My name is Ebenezabeth, you tell her. I'm looking for Imrath the werewolf. He's around here somewhere. I'm Gemeraldina, she says, and then it occurs to her. We're both 5 syllables. Gemeraldina Ebenezabeth. Yeah, okay. That's wild. Let's talk again. Do you have any idea where Imrath is? There should be no way he could get inside the school, Gemeraldina tells you. But he doesn't seem to play by the rules. If I figure anything else out, I'll let you know, says Gemeraldina. You nod. Let's examine the mats. The mats must have been arranged in a neat grid at first. Okay. We examine the letters. Next to the slogan is the school's emblem, which might be some sort of bird. Oh, neat. Let's go east. To the locker room. These lockers are smaller and more stylish than the ones out in the hall. At the north end of the room, past a row of shower booths, is a broad steel door. Less imposing exits lie south and west. A strawberry blonde girl stands near the north door. She excitedly waves you over. Who are you? What are you doing here? My name is Ebenezabeth Scrooge. I'm hunting the werewolf Imrath. Perfect. I'm Karen Produski, captain of the dance team. We locked ourselves in here for overnight practice, but then we got a call about a werewolf, so we're just hanging around, waiting to get eaten. She exhales ruefully. We could maybe defend ourselves if we could get inside the equipment locker. She knocks hopelessly on the steel door. But they don't trust students with the combo. I hope I can help, you tell her. Okay. Wonder what happens if we show her the report. Karen skips to the last page. Just looking at him? That's stupid. She slams the binder shut. We'll figure it out. Okay, so the werewolf is the thing they saw in the cave in Mars. I did not realize that that was a characteristic. So the werewolf cannot be looked at. We should show that to our hunters. Okay. I'm showing the report to Gemeraldina. She looks at the binder. Great. All we have to do is not look at him. Okay. Let's examine that north door. The steel door. Next to the door is a keypad. The door itself is closed. Examine the lockers. The lockers are painted a few different shades of blue. Booths. One of these showers was recently in use. The others are completely dry. Okay. Let us continue south to the music lab. The chairs and music stands are pushed into the corners of the room. 4 sleeping bags are rolled out on the floor around an LED lantern. A few instruments are on display in a glass case. A Pengfolk girl paces the room, clicking her beak distractedly. Okay, so I definitely did not meet all these girls during my first playthrough, so that should give some indication of how little exploration I had done before I had to stop playing. Let's examine the girl. A willowy young penwoman with golden eyes, ringing her flippers as she circles the room. Let's talk to her. You shouldn't be wandering around, she says. There's a werewolf on the loose. I've been assigned to hunt it down, you tell her. It'll be fine. My name's Ebenezabeth. Alma, she says, and she gives you a weak flipper shake. Let's go ahead and show her the report as well. Alma reads through the binder quickly. This is horrible. We can't even look at him? You're hunting the werewolf all by yourself? There are 3 other knights on the job, you tell her. Oh, that's good. She doesn't seem entirely reassured. I'm going to stay here, Alma says. I'm not a hunter. That's fine. The other knights and I will take care of it. Okay. So, let's examine the sleeping bags. The mismatched sleeping bags are arranged in an X, heads pointing at the LED lantern in the middle. We examine the lantern. The lantern is turned off. There's enough ambient light in here to get around, barely. Let's examine the instruments. We have a piccolo, a mbira, a violin, or a melodica. The piccolo is a tiny black flute. The mbira is a handheld keyboard with metal tines. The violin is much newer than yours, and the melodica is a plastic keyboard with a mouthpiece. The instruments in the display case are carefully maintained, artfully arranged. The case itself is closed. Can we open it? We can. Can we play the violin? Let's take the violin. You have a violin at home. Okay, so we will not be playing a violin. What about the melodica? You wouldn't know how to play the melodica. The mbira? You don't know how to play the mbira. How about the piccolo? We don't know how to play that either. But there are 4 instruments and 4 girls and 4 hunters. I wonder if we give the instruments to the girls somehow. Or perhaps it's just a correspondence that does not have greater significance. Examine the music stands. Apparently the music stands are even harder than the chairs to put away neatly. That's true. I recall that from band, being very much the case. A very simple black chair is stacked on each other and shoved messily out of the way. Okay. That is... we could try searching the lockers. That's probably not going to be fruitful. Yeah, you can't see inside into the lockers. Open lockers. All these lockers are locked. You open a locker and a card falls out onto the floor. The locker swings shut. Okay, so the lockers in the locker room. We have a set card. Examine set. On the card is an orange outline of an oval. Set is a puzzle game, usually played by dealing out 12 cards, and a characteristic of it, if I understand correctly, is that in any set of 12 cards within the overall set deck, there will be a certain number of correspondences that you have to identify. It's a pretty entertaining puzzle game. I play a version online sometimes. Let's take the set card, and let's wake up. Let's show our report to Patek. The report. Patek opens the binder. Aha, she exclaims, running her finger over the paragraphs. Written words. I've heard of these. She slams the binder shut and hands it to you. Use your future technology on them. Reading. It says we shouldn't look directly at Imrath, you tell her. She says. Okay. So we've now explored the 2 areas that were unguarded and the 2 areas guarded by Patek. Let us continue east to Matten's area, and we go east again and examine this torch. To Bavaria. A lonely chapel on a hill saddled between 2 hilltops to the east and southwest. A spindly pole stands near the church lit only by starlight. Let's go up. Okay, the up tries to go up to the hilltops. Let's climb pole. The pole is too narrow to climb. We try to examine the top of the pole. You can't make out its shape against the sky. Okay. Intriguing. Let us enter the church. Darkness. It is pitch black. Who's there? A panicked voice calls out. My name is Ebenezabeth. I'm hunting the werewolf Imrath. Oh, says the voice. That's very foolish of you. We talk to the voice. What's your name? What are you doing here? Rupert, the voice answers. I'm hiding from the same werewolf you claim to be hunting. I should have known better than to come to this cursed hill at night. What hill is this? This is the Walberla, little girl. Walberla? A fortress full of devils once stood on this very spot, but Saint Walpurga cast it down into hell. Then she compelled the demons to build this church, and as payment for their labors, every May Eve, the fiends have free reign over the hill. That was only 3 nights ago. This werewolf must be one of their number, a straggler. Not even Walpurga can force him back into the pit. Do you have a light? Rupert asks. A candle, a match, anything? I'm afraid not, you say. But we do know where a light can be found. Let's go get it. back to the girls' school. To the room where Alma is. Okay, so the lantern belongs to the girls, so they will not give it up, obviously. Okay, fair enough. Okay, I've mixed myself up. Here's Patek, here's the thicket, here's the gully. This was the torch we were looking at. Okay, back to Bavaria. It is pitch black. Are you still there? Asked Rupert. Will you please bring me some light? Rupert asks. I'll try, you say. This isn't much comfort to Rupert. Let's go back out to the chapel. Okay. A path leads south down the hill. Let's go to the east hill. East cliff. The top of a wild rock formation. Below, a dense forest, a dark valley. The chapel is back to the west. This forest, anything could be lurking down there. The rock. The hill breaks up into a loose collection of boulders, buttressed by thick woods. Let's examine the chapel from here. The chapel is easy to make out in the darkness, but it might not be if you didn't know it was there. No sign of the pole from here, so we can't see what was at the top of it this way. So let's go back west, and let's go southwest now, to the southwest cliff. The grass gives way to bare stone as you reach the precipice. Pillars of rock lean precariously, not quite separated from the cliff. The lights of a village glow in the bottom of the valley. The chapel is some distance to the northeast. Let's examine the village. The darkness makes it hard to guess how far away the village is. Pillars? One colossal stone seems poised to tumble into the valley at the slightest provocation. That doesn't sound great. Let's examine the valley. Okay, so the village is in the valley, precariously threatened by this pillar. Chapel probably gives the same text. Yeah, okay. Northeast. Let's go south to the hillside. The grassy field spreads out around you. You're too exposed. Anything can see you out here. It would be safer to return to the north. Okay, so let's go back north. And wake. And west. Let's examine this torch. To Crescent Beach, Oregon. Oh, my cat is meowing. Apologies. The sun has set. Now the sky's gloomy purple, giving way to blackness. Sheer walls of rock surround this patch of gray sand, protecting it from the waves of the moment. The rocks give way and the beach opens up to the north. The beach. A canvas tent is pitched as far as possible from the water. The beach abruptly ends behind it, at the foot of a steep hill covered in pine trees. Tall rocks cut the beach off to the south, but you know of a little alcove down that way. The sand stretches northward, interrupted by a procession of black splotches. Guts of something black and viscous spatter the beach. Ooh, we've got a rare double article. The waves have yet to wash them away. Let's examine the tent. A lopsided tent, apparently homemade. Can we enter it? Shadowy tent. A female figure lies sprawled over a grimy rug, black liquid dripping from her lips. We examine the figure. Her eyes are black and empty. She doesn't seem to be breathing, until she rasps horribly, and another trickle of black slime falls from her mouth. That's rough. We try talking to her. Ma'am, can you hear me? She blinks. She doesn't blink. Great. Okay. That's sinister. Examine the rug. Pardon me, a little bit of a cough today. This rug has spent too much time at the beach. A tarot card is tucked under one corner. We take the tarot card. The card depicts a man carrying several swords. Okay. Is that the 5 of swords? Are all of the cards... Okay. Okay, I'm going to need to pause here for a moment. We're just going to go ahead and pause for 5 minutes while I get these cats treats. It's probably a good time to take a break anyway, so this is a good opportunity if you're watching to stretch your legs, and I will return momentarily. All right. Thanks for your patience. That was about 5 minutes. And we were on the beach of horrors. But we have 4 cards. Did we see a 5th card yet? The Uno card is a red 2. The poker card is a 3 of diamonds. The tarot cards is, I believe... Oh, no, it's the 7 of swords. Yes. Which looks like that. Look at that guy. Okay. So, let's look. Let's go back out. And we can continue north past the black splotches to wherever the werewolf attack took place. Beach. Striped tent stands at the north end of the beach where the terrain becomes too rocky for further exploration. You catch sight of a clawed paw print in the sand just before a wave wipes it away. The striped tent looks a bit like a circus tent. The flap is pinned open. We can't go north further because you're not stupid enough to go hiking across the slippery rocks. But if we enter striped, the fragrant tent. A man with wild red hair and a pointy red goatee sits behind a battered folding table. He throws open his arms as you enter. Welcome to Archie's barter tent. Come on in. Throw off the shackles of capitalism. Trade some neat stuff for some neat stuff. You shouldn't stay here, you tell him. There's a werewolf on the loose. Yes, I can't do anything about that, except be terrified, which I already am. I have nowhere to run, see? What I'm really doing right now is hiding, like a coward. In my barter tent! Come on in! On the table are a Ganesha statue, a macrame owl, a votive candle, a copper bowl, a scarf, an incense burner, and a bolo tie. Dang, that's a lot of stuff to consider potentially trading for. Let's examine these various goods. The statue, the elephant-headed god sits cross-legged on a silk pillow. A rat crouches at his feet. Part of his crown has broken off, revealing the white plaster beneath. Let's examine the owl. This owl, woven from hemp cord, is essentially two-dimensional. Its eyes are little wooden beads. The bowl. The edges of the small bowl are painted with a simple design of repeating trefoils. Let's see the scarf. A long brown scarf, obviously handmade. And the burner. Just a polished piece of wood with a slot for an incense stick, currently empty. And the tie. A turquoise cabochon serves as a fastener for a short leather cord. Okay. Let's examine Archie. Archie clearly puts a lot of care into coiffing his hair on top of his head, but his beard seems to be deliberately unkempt. He must be hedging his bets, as it were. Here's how it works, Archie says, since you didn't ask. Bring me something neat. If I like it, you can have any one thing from the table. Simple. Okay, something neat. But he does not elaborate on that. Here's how it works, Archie says, as if he hadn't already explained this. Okay. Let's look again. Archie sits behind his battered folding table, smiling unconvincingly. Okay, well, we've got some things. I might show him the report. Archie waves the binder away. You can keep your business reports or your ISO standards or whatever you're peddling. So he doesn't even want to look at it. I thought maybe we'd at least warn him about the werewolf, but so be it. He might have interest in the cards, so I'm not going to show those to him yet. I don't think. Because I feel like the cards are going to be of use to Matten rather than being something we trade, but I guess we could still show them. Oh, I'm not into trading cards, Archie says, not bothering to conceal his distaste. Okay, fair enough. Let's wake up. So this was Matten's area. Let's show the report to him. Matten shakes his head as he turns the pages. What language is this? You're not sure. Okay. He's still just talking about the need to focus on destroying Imrath, so we can now go south and talk to Kidnaret again. Kidnaret flips through the binder. Troubling, he says. Evidently, Imrath is a stronger foe than our advanced intelligence indicated. Yep, that we had exhausted that already. Let's examine the campfire. Okay. Back to the university hospital. Midnight. The only light comes from the holographic aquarium, bathing you in the rows of chairs in uncanny ultra pink. The reception desk is unattended, and the passage to the west is open. We examine the aquarium. Flickering koi swim across the walls, into the air, through your outstretched hand. They don't seem to notice you. Okay. Reception desk, all the windows are empty, now serving nobody. The chairs. Dozens of chairs, more than the room can comfortably hold. A card is sitting on the chair next to you. It's a Hanafuda card. The back is blank. On the front is a red banner, flanked by wisteria branches. Okay. So we now have 5 cards. Okay. Let's go west. Oh, this is concerning. Nurse's station. No nurse on duty, just a pair of scrubs hanging over the counter like it was thrown there. A huge clock hangs on the wall behind the counter. There's a light down the hallway to the west. Tick. Let's examine the clock. It's just after midnight. Tick. That's uncanny in a way that I really appreciate. Let's examine the light. It looks like someone is here besides you. Tick. Examine the scrubs. Black stains cover the fabric. Tick. Okay. Well, this is not going to go well. Counter. Lots of unfinished paperwork. Tick. We go west to the corridor. The light is coming from inside the ward on the south side of the hallway. The door hangs open. Examine the door. There's a light on in there. Examine the hallway. You can't see that or it's not implemented. Okay. We go in. Ward. A dozen beds are crammed into this ward, all occupied. Some of the patient's arms and legs are restrained. All of them seem to be awake. All of their eyes are completely black. The way out is north. A man in a gray shirt and black necktie crosses the room slowly, looking you over. You're not supposed to be here, he says, but from your being here I can infer that your heart is in the right place. You're a very brave, very resourceful little girl. It would be in each of our best interests to cooperate with the other. Then we should become introduced, you say, bowing gently. My name is Ebenezabeth Scrooge. It's a pleasure to meet you. He blinks. My apologies, Miss Scrooge. I didn't realize I was speaking out loud. I am Shinji Haida, a private investigator. The hospital has hired me to explain what has happened to these people, and if possible, cure their condition, but I have nowhere to begin. There's a werewolf on the loose, you tell him. Imrath. Shinji rubs his chin. I have heard many anecdotes along these lines, but there is little I can extract from such evidence. I need hard data. Well, we show the report to him. You might find this useful, you say, handing Shinji the binder. He flips through it quickly. Yes, very much. This explains a great many things, he mutters. I don't know yet how I may put this information into action. These Martian dates are from roughly a century ago. I can't imagine how she came by this document. That isn't relevant to this investigation. I ought to thank her somehow. You're thinking out loud again, Mr. Haida. Ah, I apologize, but I think I ought to thank you somehow. Please accept this. He hands you an oblong plastic thing. Let's examine the thing. 3 components fold out of the plastic lump: a magnifying lens, a dusty brush, and a pair of tweezers. The brush is chemically treated to dust for fingerprints, Shinji explains. The other functions are obvious, I'm sure. Okay. A magnifying lens, a dusty brush, and a pair of tweezers. I'm trying to think where these are going to be of use. And I have no idea. I know we need a light source, but beyond that... Okay. Let's talk to him. Shinji is still studying the binder, flipping through the same 4 pages. I'm very close to formulating a plan, he says. Then he silently flips to the first page again. A junior detective kit. That's what our thing is. Let's show kit to Shinji. He bows deeply, a pained expression on his face. Please keep it, he says. It's all I have to show my gratitude. Okay. Who is someone? Would the kit be of use to someone? The girls need they need to be able to break into the room with all of the supplies. So they need something to open the lock. We have tweezers, a magnifying lens, and a fingerprinting brush. Don't know that this will be of use to them, but I don't know if someone else would have better. Well, okay. Let's look again. Examine the patients. None of them seem to care or even notice that you're here. Some of them seem angry. Most are simply detached. Let's examine Shinji. He has loosened his tie and rolled up his shirt sleeves. As he thinks, he scratches and pinches the tip of his chin. Okay. Let's wake up. Okay. Oh. The woods. 4 small tents are huddled around the campfire, a dim circle of warmth in the darkness. The forest is thick, and there's no sign of any starlight above. Kidneret is lying on the ground, dangerously close to the fire. His face is expressionless. His eyes are completely black. We try to move him. You try to get him away from the fire, but he won't move. Okay. Well, that's troubling. Talk to Matin. Imrath got Kidneret. Matin nods. I heard it happen. I ran to help, but I was too late. I don't think you could have helped. Just looking at Imrath seems to. He takes this in. Then I'm not sure how we can win. Let's show cards to Matin. Unfortunately, for reasons beyond our control, you can't use multiple objects with that particular verb. Let's show tarot to Matin. Will these work, you ask, holding up your stack of plant cards. For reading my fortune? He looks them over. Perhaps, but I would need more cards than this, and we must complete our mission first. You nod. Okay. Let's go to the west. Talking to Patek. I need to talk to Patek. There's something wrong with Kidneret, you whisper. I think just looking at Imrath broke him down somehow. Patek's nostrils flare. He won't be the last, she hisses. This beast is like none I have hunted before. His scent is... She shakes her head. Continue your travels and your researches, little girl. Report to me all that you learn. Okay. We know that the detective has need for clues, the sheriff. So let's go back there. We are on the western end. I think this was how we got to... No, this is Mars. We need to go further south. Southwest, specifically. Okay. Here is Texas. And talk to the blacksmith. We have not found him yet. To the north end of town. And here is the sheriff. Let's talk to the sheriff. Let's show the kit to the sheriff. Show kit to sheriff. Huh, says the sheriff. Are you a geologist or what? A geologist. That's interesting. Okay, I wonder if we can use the kit with the dead body, because the corpse does not seem like the victim of the werewolf compared to everyone else. Okay, the corpse is fixed in place. Examine corpse with kit. Let's show the kit to the barman. I can add the word to when I want. I'm sorry, he says, but could you take that somewhere else? Okay, so the kit does not seem to be of much use to these two. He does need some time alone. Let's show the kit to the blacksmith. Cute, he says, but doesn't seem very interested. Okay, well, we've ruled out these areas. Back to the northeast. We didn't really try and explore Mars as thoroughly as we could. Let's examine the torch here. Okay. I don't think the man will respond to the kit. He won't even look at it, right? Okay. Pass through the station, lead east and west. The way out is southeast to the crater. Okay, on the south side of the volcano, an impact crater cuts into the Martian surface. Northeast around the volcano and northwest toward the dome building. Yeah, we've got to go northeast. So we probably can't go right. We cannot go west because of the barrels, and we wouldn't want to go in there anyway. So let's wake. Let's examine this torch. Back to the girls' school. Let's show the kit to the girls. Alma doesn't know what to make of the junior detective kit. What are your qualifications exactly? Show kit to privacy. She shakes her head. You don't seem like a junior detective to me. You're at least a level 5 detective. Well, I don't know about that. Show kit to Karen. That's a nice little piece of whatever it is you've got there. Thanks, you tell her. Okay. Let's give it to Gemeraldina. Huh, she says. Kind of cool. Okay. We still can't open the key to the wood shop. Okay. Wake. Let's go north and examine the torch. There is nothing new in Zykarf. Okay. So examine the torch here. This is... Okay, so the kit could be something neat. And there is a votive candle. Okay. Let us Examine the candle. The Virgin of Guadalupe is painted in vivid colors on the side of this tall candle. A small, steady flame burns at the top. We can examine this candle without being transported. Intriguing. Show kit to Archie. Archie frowns. Little girl, this is very serious. If you're a cop, or if a cop sent you here, you have to tell me. Otherwise, this is entrapment. I'm not a cop, you assure him. I'm from the year 1846. He narrows his eyes. Can we give the kit to Archie? No, we cannot. Really thought this might actually be the solution, but apparently not. So let's wake. Let's go east and examine this torch. Here we are in Bavaria again. Let's go in. Can we give the kit to Rupert? Rupert bites his lip. I honestly don't see how that can help us, he says. Me neither, Rupert. Let's wake up and go west and south. And this is where we got the kit from, unless I'm forgetting. Yeah, Shinji still doesn't have any ideas. Let's see. Ordinarily, we can just show everything to everyone until we get to the solution. I don't know that we tried showing the kit to Patek. You tell Patek how the detective kit works. Then these are a hunter's tools, she says. I was a detective myself when I coursed the saber-tooth whose arms now hang on my shoulders. I investigated her until the tundra was soaked in her blood. Okay, that's cool. Show the kit to Matin. He regards the equipment dubiously. I put no trust in technology, he tells you, only in magic. Use the kit? On Kidner, he won't look at the junior detective kit. I should think not. He's unconscious. What am I missing? Okay, nothing of interest in the tents. It's one of our destinations. I wonder if we need to examine the fire. Go north to the creepy nurse's station. Can we take the scrubs? Better not. Can we take the clock? It's not for us to carry around. Okay. Yep. Okay. We continue our cycle southwest. Examine the torch. Okay, so we don't have any specific. Oh, we have tweezers. Open doors with tweezers. That seems to be a part of the junior detective kit. Open door with kit. Open doors with kit. That doesn't seem to be something you can unlock. Okay, so we can. Okay, we can't. It's unclear to me if this is treating the kit as though it is a key that I need to use to open something else, or if it's just a blatant error message because we are not intended to try to open little doors. Let us go out and north and north. Let's examine this church again. I don't think we can go north. Yeah, it won't let us. It'll only let us go east and west. Okay. Barman does not have an interest in the kit. Right. And we've already tried showing it to the sheriff. Okay, here we are in Mars again. Okay. We've already pretty thoroughly explored these areas. I'm just double checking to make sure there's nothing I'm overlooking. Right. Don't think they. Yeah, they don't want to. We don't want to get too close to them. Okay. Let's go back north. We can't take these torches, right? Yeah, they're hammered firmly into the ground. Let us examine the torch. Okay. Let's try opening shop with the kit. The junior detective kit does not fit the wood shop door. Okay. Open steel with kit. There's no keyhole in this door. Okay. Oh, interesting. If we examine steel, it was captured by our revolver. On the side of your revolver are engraved the words "To my friend Ebenezer Samuel Colt," as we recall. Examine the steel door. Next to the door is a keypad. The door itself is closed. Okay, here we go. The keypad. We should dust keypad with kit. You sweep your brush over the keypad, covering it in glittering dust. Numerous fingerprints appear, but almost all of them are on the 8 button. Karen whistles, impressed. Press 8 button. Again, again, again. The steel door whirs for a second, then pushes itself open. Aces, Karen squeals. Let's get in there. Then she regains some composure. After you, she says. That's north to the equipment room. Basketballs, lacrosse sticks, tennis rackets, footballs, golf clubs, yoga mats, volleyballs, clay pigeons, boxing gloves, rugby balls, jump ropes, and bowling pins fill the shelves. The thing that immediately sticks out to you is the grappling hook. Karen doesn't seem to have followed you in, but a few moments later you see why. She's brought along Privacy, Alma, and Gemeraldina. Okay, sassies, Karen says, and the dancers stand at attention. Arm yourselves. Each of the girls grab a different blunt or pointed implement from the shelves before filing out of the room. Karen gives you a quick salute as she leaves. Cool, we've equipped the girls. Let's take the hook. Examine it. A heavy-duty 4-pointed hook attached to a long coil of nylon cord. So I'm guessing one of our compatriots has been taken out while we are doing this. Do we think it's Matin, probably? Let's go south. Let's talk to Karen. We're ready for that scumbag werewolf now. Don't you worry. You shake your head. You have to be careful. If you just look at him, he'll... She pats your head. Calm down, Ebenezer. We'll figure something out. Let's talk to Gemeraldina. If I figure anything else out, I'll let you know, says Gemeraldina. You nod. Let's talk to Privacy. Be careful, Privacy says. You too. And talk to Alma. I'm going to stay here, Alma says. I'm not a hunter. That's fine. The other knights and I will take care of it. That being said, when we wake up... Oh, Patek's still fine, so... And Matin is fine. Good. Okay. Well, we think the hook is probably for this cliff, so let's examine the torch. Let's examine the cliff. The rock is jagged, almost crystalline, and you don't see any flat areas other than the one you're standing on. Let's throw hook. You heave the hook at the top of the cliff. It falls short, cracks against the stone, almost collides with your skull as it falls onto your feet. So you try again, and the hook arcs over the crenellations, catches on something, refuses to be pulled back down. It's stuck. Let's climb the... Find the hook. Okay, yeah, here we go. By the meager light of two crescent moons, you take in your surroundings, below a vast labyrinth, above the cliff face, and the line of your grappling hooks hangs from one notch. Climb line. You put hands on the nylon cord and begin pulling yourself up. Balcony. This is only the outer wall of an immense stronghold. A narrow archway leads inside. You have a better view of the labyrinth from this cozy platform and might even be able to see beyond the maze, if indeed there is anything beyond the maze, if it weren't the middle of the night, if indeed this is the middle of the night. The end of your grappling hook is well and truly hooked into the railing, so we won't be getting that back. Yep, you pull on the hook, but it won't come out of the railing. Okay, so let's examine the stronghold. The wall is so thick that the archway should almost be called a corridor. Let's examine the maze now. You have a better idea of the maze's enormous scale. You can't see any part of it in great detail, but you're not sure you want to. Let's go in. Wall. A narrow walkway encircles the verdant courtyard below. Stairs lead down into the garden from the archway where you stand. Stairs are steep and there is no railing. The garden. You don't recognize any of the plants, but you can't see them properly from up here. Let's go down. Courtyard. You carefully make your way down the stairs. A pebbled path between the stairs and columned portico winds past blossoms of constantly changing color, bushes with metallic, serrated leaves, web-like trees with branches entwining and disentangling as if each limb possessed its own will. Each specimen must have been brought here from a different biome, if not a different planet. There is no unifying principle to their curation, only an unearthly consonance in their arrangement, serving to reveal by degrees the centerpiece of the collection, a woman, or a creature in a woman's shape, growing from between the vermilion petals of a massive flower. Let's examine the woman. She has the alluring features of a nymph or sylph. Her skin is white as milk, a striking contrast where her hips emerge from scarlet petals, but in place of hands, her arms end in long serpentine tendrils, and there is a hunger in her eyes. You can tell that this creature is some manner of vampire. Then you are percipient beyond your years, little girl. A deep voice behind you. And exceedingly skilful to have penetrated this sanctum, evading my simian guards, my iron servitors, indeed the entirety of my subtle and perilous maze. You turn to face a tall man in sober garments, fixing you with dark emerald eyes. I am Maal Dweb, ruler of Zicharf. You call yourself Ebenezabeth Scrooge. You present an interesting diversion from my accustomed tedium, and so I will suffer you to live. Come inside. You find yourself following him through the portico's columns. Court of Maal Dweb. Three lofty braziers illumine the yawning hall with mingled red and green and amber radiance, each hue overpowering and submitting to its others by slow turns. Blue and purple tapestries overlie the cyclopean walls, concealing their most distant corners in abstruse shadows. The throne of Maal Dweb, a siege of carven ebony inlaid with orichalc, overlooks the alabaster colonnade and the garden beyond. A hemicircular table stands some distance from the throne, where only the doleful light of the green brazier can reach. My clairvoyance grants me some understanding of your mission, Maldweb intones. I see now why your exertions have led you to my palace. I will explain. We have some great words in this game. In the deep caverns of Ulasa, another planet under my suzerainty, there existed two wizards, each supremely powerful by their own reckoning, even if their combined puissance would match only a fraction of my own. An obscure and ancient enmity divided the sorcerers, and they had chosen to expand their unnaturally extended lifespans in the pursuit of each other's destruction. They allowed hatred to control their bodies, to blind them to all other interests, and so could go on battling for years at a time, without food or sleep. At last, the magic that vibrated continuously between them, augmented by their mutual and supernormal abhorrence, took on a form and life of its own, and as its substance was of absolute hatred, so its appearance was one of utter ugliness. The enchanters, one of whom I note was humanoid in form, the other lupine, were, despite all their auguries, incapable of predicting this turn of events. They saw immediately, and yet too late, the vacuity of their undertakings, and were stricken by the realization unto a state of nihilistic catatonia. Even so singular an episode as this was beneath my notice. Am I not Maal Dweb, ruler of 6 planets and all their moons? And not until the beast emerged from his subterrane and began his ride across Ulasa's surface did I stoop to intervene. He pauses. At a certain exit from my labyrinth stands a silver drawbridge and a formless breach in conventional geometry, opening on extra-dimensional non-space. By careful computation, I may lower this drawbridge into the aperture such that its opposing terminus comes to rest at any point in the physical universe that interests me. To travel to Ulasa by means of this mechanism would take mere minutes. However, having predicted a certain volatility in the wolf thing's nature, and not wishing to lose the creature in the supracosmic gulf spanned by my silver bridge, I traveled to Ulasa via mere physical space. I pursued the creature, who called himself Imrath. With a minor effort I fettered him, and I transported him without incident back into my fortress, preparatory to a careful analysis of his unique nature. Soon after my return, however, he escaped his confinement and found his way to the Silver Bridge, which at that time, for reasons that do not concern you, was calibrated for a connection with the spatio-temporal vicinity of your Earth. I cannot accept any blame for Imrath's escape. Rescuing the people of Ulasa demanded such haste as precluded the moments of calculation that would have revealed more effective means of restraint. Regardless, it is clear that Imrath must be annihilated rather than studied. Have you fought any monsters like him? Well, once I killed a vampire, but I had Poseidon's trident then. You feel Maal Dweb probing your mind for the necessary context. I understand. A weapon of equal or greater consecration will be sufficient to destroy Imrath. But in order to land the killing blow, you necessarily must first lay eyes upon the creature, and for a being without my mental fortitude, to view Imrath directly is to fall victim to his ghastliness. I can, however, forge for you a pair of goggles, such as will obscure your vision enough to blunt the most injurious effects of his appearance. You need only bring me a block of translucent corundum, about this size. He holds his thumb and forefinger some 8 inches apart. A thought occurs to you. Maal Dweb, you say, if you don't mind my asking, why don't you destroy Imrath yourself? He sighs. The destruction of Imrath is well within my ability. I have even, by way of idle self-amusement, contrived a means by which I could effect his undoing without setting foot outside this fortress. However, my direct interference in the affairs of your race would have subtle consequences of the sort which, however remote, I am reluctant to advise about myself. I see, you say. You see only shadows, Ebenezer Scrooge. Concern yourself with procuring a holy weapon and the necessary quantity of translucent corundum. I would be grateful for the distraction afforded by your unlikely success. Well, that was a remarkable finding. Let's talk once more to Maal Dweb. Do you know where I can find a holy weapon? My clairvoyance is clouded by the distance separating our star systems, Maal Dweb says, but I believe it will involve your firearm. Okay. If we talk to him again, do you know where I can find translucent corundum, you ask. He closes his eyes. The precise details of your path elude me, he says. Thank you for all your help, you say. Maal Dweb's eyes darken. Mind yourself, little girl. It is well within my omnipotence to detect your sarcasm. Let's examine him. He is a towering man, and arcane power seems to radiate from his very body. But his eyes of abyssal green bespeak immense weariness, the monotony of omnipotence. Even the small amusement Maldweb derives from your heroic antics is fading by the moment. Let's look. So here we are once more in that room. We have a table. Radial and latitudinal etchings in its marble surface lend the table the aspect of a mathematical instrument, yet the project at hand is a vaguely anthropoid clay figure. The ivory vessel beside the table evidently serves as a wastebasket. We examine the vessel. Bands of polished horn form an intricately woven cylinder. In the ivory wastebasket are a playing card and a jasper figurine. We'll take the card. The card is painted with a design of 4 circular objects. I tried my hand at illustrating my own Teddick deck, says Maldweb, but quickly discovered more engaging distractions. The only output of my experiments was the 4 of eyes, to which I no longer bear any attachment. They do sort of look like eyes. You take the Teddick card. Let's examine the figurine. An oblong head with a leering tongue and ravenous teeth, carved from reddish stone. A small investigation, not entirely satisfactory, Maldweb explains. You may make a souvenir of it if you wish. We'll take the figurine. Let's examine the clay figure. Apparently a work in progress, the figure possesses a human body plan, but no other identifying features. Let's show our new souvenirs to our associate. Oh. You may keep it, Maldweb says. I have extracted from it as much interest as I am able. We show the revolver to him. A primitive weapon, Maldweb declares, but it may be enough to slay Imrath with the right ammunition. Interesting. Okay. We show the kit to him. He nods. Very amusing. Even I have, on occasion, alleviated my titanic boredom by limiting my own powers to those of a novice enchanter. Let's see if he knows set. This is for one of your Earth games, he says. I can do nothing with it. Oh, we wake and are back to the woods. I have a bad feeling about one of our companions now. Patek is straddling the log, listlessly hacking at the rod and wood. Yeah, that doesn't seem like the watchful stance of a hunter. She swings her axe in a lazy arc, lets the blade slam into the wet log, yanks it back out, swings it again. She doesn't notice or care if she comes dangerously close to swinging it into her leg. Her eyes are black. Okay, so she has been attacked as well. Let's talk to Matin. Patek is... You gesture helplessly. Matin sighs. Then you and I need to be very careful. None of my spells have been able to get through to Kidnaret. You explain what Maldweb told you about a holy weapon and translucent corundum. Then my mace might do the job, but you should find a weapon of your own. As for translucent corundum, I'll keep an eye out. We'll both keep an eye out, and we'll both be careful. So let's show the figurine. He turns the figurine over, hands it back to you. Quite the interesting piece, but I don't see what use it serves us. Well, the use is that we're going to trade it to Archie. I can't remember where Archie is. He is not in Bavaria. He is in Oregon. Okay, Archie is much the same. Let's show figurine to Archie. Oh, says Archie, that's something interesting, I must say. He turns it over and over in his hands. It's cosmic is what it is. All right, take anything you want. And he plunks the figurine on the table, right at the edge of his side. Any one thing, I mean. Well, I know the thing we need is the candle. An excellent choice, Archie says. You take the votive candle. So yeah, if we try to take the other things, we're going to get an error message. So if we try to take the statue, you can't really think of a use for the Ganesha statue. It seems a bit fragile. Can't really think of a use for the macrame owl. It seems a bit flimsy. Take the scarf. It seems a bit frivolous. Bowl seems a bit pointless. Take the burner. It seems a bit useless. And let's take the tie. Oh, you can have that for free, Archie mutters. I can't seem to give it away. Then it would be charity to let him give it to you. You take the bolo tie. Okay, well, interesting. I didn't expect that. Okay. So we have a votive candle providing light. Yeah, it's interesting. I would have expected some acknowledgement of the fact that the candle is a source of flame, and yet it does not a transportation. Oh, it is. We can examine the flame. You focus on the small flame. It's strong enough to carry you far away. To cocaine? Bower, a summer afternoon. It's always summer here, and perhaps it's always afternoon. Ferns and hanging vines encircle a stone bench covered in moss and twisting ivy. I suppose it is customary for us to visit places that have more of a prehistoric bent, perhaps? Examine the bench. It's the most comfortable looking stone bench you've ever seen. You take a seat. It feels perfect. Examine the ivy. The ivy leaves are so tiny, adorable. There's moss here, but no sign of age. Well, there's light shining here, but you don't see any sun. Okay. It is a perfect little space away from anything else. Yeah, there's nowhere to go. Okay, we wake to back to the tent. Okay. Archie blinks. Did you just... Man, I gotta lay off the... Never mind. That's fantastic. Take the candle. And let's wake. Okay. Let's show the candle to Matin. He reaches out for the candle, then jumps back as if from a hot stove. I should have warned you, he says, a little embarrassed. I can't handle holy objects with my left hand. Interesting. Okay. Let's show the cards. So we still need more cards. Okay. Examine the torch. Inside the chapel, behind a simple altar stands a statue of St. Walpurga, flanked by her brothers. Near the exit is a basket for donations. Rupert is cowering next to the altar. Show candle to Rupert. You're not sure you should leave the candle here. It's dangerous just to look at Imrath. It's safer if you can't see him, you tell him. That's easy for you to say, Rupert cries. I've been in the dark for hours, cold and lonely. Every sound makes my heart jump. The tiniest bit of light and warmth would be more comfort to me than you can imagine. If you give me that candle... He fumbles around with his clothes. I'll give you this. He holds up a silver crucifix on a chain. Surely, if you're a good Catholic, the Savior will protect you just as much as would the Blessed Mother. You purse your lips. I'm a Lutheran. Even more then. Please, little girl. With a great sigh, you hand over the candle and accept the crucifix. He holds the flame close to his face. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Examine the crucifix. A silver image of Jesus on the cross hung on a delicate chain. It's heavier than it looks. Okay. I can't imagine that this is something that Matin will be able to handle with his left side, but... Oh. Oh, I wonder if we take this to our blacksmith. Let's talk to Rupert. Oh, thank you, little girl. I'm sure this candle will keep me safe. I hope so, you mutter. Basket? In the donation basket is a Jas card. The card bears a simple design of 6 leaves. You take the Jas card. Okay. Examine the altar. Small table with lace tablecloth. Examine the statue. Walpurga carries a book and a staff. She looks down at you a bit severely. Her brothers also carry books and staves. Okay, so let us go west. This is bad. Let's examine Matin. Matin's eyes are black and empty. A trickle of dark slime hangs from his lips. You don't see his mace anywhere. Yep, okay, we are the only ones left. This is Mars? Yes. I don't know why I always think I can go south there. It's to the southwest. Examine the torch. The sheriff has collapsed over his desk. The holding cell behind him is empty. His head is sideways on his desk, black eyes staring at the wall. The barman is slumped over his bar, staring past you with black eyes. He's slumped over like a rag doll, black mucus streaming from his nose lips. Great. We're very lucky that the blacksmith did not receive similar treatment. So, show crucifix to blacksmith. Can you make me some bullets from this? You hold up the necklace. Melkor gapes at you. I can't melt down an image of the Savior himself. He crosses himself at the very idea. I need a holy weapon to destroy Imrath, you tell him. This is the only way I can stop him. The blacksmith sighs. If that's what it takes, give it here, little girl. Caramba, I don't want to think about the penance the padre will give me for this. Melkor goes on wincing and muttering until the crucifix is melted. After that, he loosens up a little, and the process doesn't take much longer. There you go, little warrior. He presents the silver balls to you on a cotton sheet. You set to loading your weapon right away. Thank you, Melkor. When you make your confession, tell the padre that what you did helped many, many people. Assuming you actually accomplish anything. Well, yes. Talk to him. Good luck, Ebenezabeth. Thanks, you too. He rolls his eyes. Okay. That's good. Let's examine the bulletin once more. A turquoise cabochon. That might be our corundum. Let's find out. Go northeast. Oh, goody. Imrath is here. The one place in the woods where you ought to be able to see the sky. Torch burns at the center of the clearing. Paths between the trees lead north, east, and southwest. Imrath is here. His jaw hangs slackly on his chest. Black phlegm flowing over diseased fangs, over suppurating lips. His eyes are fixed on yours. If something so vile can exist, if this is real, then what's the point? Perception. The grimy colonnade overlooks a broad pool, choked with oil. Nothing is reflected in its surface. The sky is empty. A chilly wind winds between the columns. Obvious exits are east and south. Examine the columns. The pillared hallway affords an expansive view of the black pool, the black woods beyond, the black sky above. Slime covers the floor. Examine the slime. The slime oozes over every surface, trickling toward the pool. Examine the pool. Once it was clear as glass. Whatever used to swim in there is probably dead. Well, that's great. Let's go south through memory. A frigid wind slashes at her face. Snow is piling up in the corner. Filthy slush and sticky oil cover the floor. Exits are north and east. A few bundles lie half buried in the snow. She doesn't want to think about it. Okay, yeah, this is an allusion to her very unfortunate origin. The snow is featureless. Let's go east. Motion. Empty bottles line the walls, their contents spilled over the oily floor. Exits are north, west, and down. A crystal violin sits undisturbed on its plinth in the center of the chamber. Take the violin. Why bother? Play the violin. Why bother? That's no good. If we go north, it's decision. She's hemmed in by interminable stacks of linked gears, pins and springs and ratchets all jammed with black slime. High above, stone faces lean down, watching with shadowed eyes. Examine the faces. She recognizes the faces. None of them seem pleased or proud. Oh well. The immense and intricate engines are meant to weigh dozens or hundreds of variables against each other for anyone who's stupid enough to bother. The viscous oil has seized up all the workings. Let's go down. Desire. The furnace is cold. Chains hang limply from the cell doors. The only sound is the whistling wind. Exits are up and down. Examine the furnace. Nothing's burning in the furnace, and a chill is over the entire castle. Chains. Usually one or another occupant is banging on a door, demanding or pleading for release. Black oil seeps under the cell doors. They aren't something she can open. This is an interesting metaphor. She won't go any deeper. Okay. What if we light the furnace? She doesn't have a safe way of doing that. She's carrying nothing. Examine me. She sees nothing special about herself. That's a good way to handle that. Okay. Let's examine the bottles. All the bottles are empty. A few have been smashed to pieces. We can wake. She is awake. Maal Dweb is here. A tall man in sober garments, inspecting her with weary eyes. He does not like what he sees. Maal Dweb, are you going to fix this? She doesn't feel like talking to him. But I will talk to you notwithstanding, Maal Dweb intones. Your failure to defeat the wolf thing Imrath has soured whatever entertainment I could derive from observation of your efforts. Were I not so wise, I might consider allowing pity to cloud my judgment long enough to offer you some token of assistance. Yet I am a Maal Dweb, the all-rational, and the frailty of sentiment is long purged from my heart. Therefore I bestow upon you a curse instead, a quantum of my infinite weariness, the ennui engendered by my centuries of omnipotence. She feels its weight on her before he's finished speaking, but he stands there staring for a long moment afterward. Then he fades into the shadows. She is carrying nothing. Examine me, she sees nothing special about herself. So we have a fraction of his weariness. Can we sleep? She has other stuff to do first. She is so bored. Just because there's nothing else to do, she raises the fragile instrument to her chin. She lifts the crystalline bow. She plays whatever stupid notes come naturally to her. It sounds fine. As she goes on playing, she hears something she likes, so she sticks with that. She thinks she can hear where the music wants to go, and she keeps playing until it gets there. It's beautiful. And when she hits just the right note, a spark flies from the crystal bow, and it lands in the black oil, and a tongue of flame kicks up. She doesn't care. She's busy playing. The fire spreads quickly. You might expect her to start playing faster, but that's not what the music wants to do. Now the flames are climbing up around her skirt, dancing ecstatically. She keeps her eyes closed, listens to the violin, lets it tell her where they're going. She plays until the entire castle is engulfed in flames, and she goes on playing until all the oil has burned away. Imrath is surprised to see you getting to your feet. Well, it doesn't matter, he rasps. It's still pointless. Everything's pointless. Not everything, you take careful aim. Just you. Bang. The bullet pierces Imrath's loathsome form, and he shrivels into a cinder, lost at once in the darkness of the woods. The end. With that, the exciting part of this story is over. You may restart, restore to save game, or quit, but if you would rather keep playing, you may enter the command post-game. Alright, the woods. Clearing. The one place in the woods where you ought to be able to see the sky, a torch burns at the center of the clearing. So, 7 playing cards. Let us go east. Kidnaret is lying on the ground, dangerously close to the fire. His face is expressionless, his eyes are completely black. Let's go to give the bolo tie. You closely watch the torchlight that carries you to Zikharf, court of Maal, Dweb. 3 lofty braziers illuminating the yawning hall with mingled red and green and amber radiance. Maal, Dweb is seated on his throne, etc. Talk to Maal, Dweb. I have found some satisfaction in your success, Maal, Dweb mutters, but already I sense my old companion returning, lurking in the recesses of my own mind castle. The ennui that you cursed me with, you ask, and Maal, Dweb does not answer, since the answer is obvious. Will that be with me forever? He closes his eyes. You have nothing to fear from my magics, little girl, but if the fate I foresee for you comes to pass, the great Maal, Dweb falls silent. We show the bolo to him. Maal, Dweb nods at the bolo tie, although he's not confident enough to make a pronouncement one way or the other. Well, you say, it was very nice to meet you, Maal, Dweb. I find I cannot disagree, he mutters. Okay, well, we are awake. We have defeated the werewolf. We have talked with Maal, Dweb. Let us wake. You close your eyes and let yourself return to the woods. Let's go back south. All of our companions are still stuck with their condition. Okay, so the girls here have also fallen victim. Let's examine Alma. Her black eyes are invisible against her black feathers. You'd think she's still breathing. Let's examine privacy. Her head lolls to one side. Black spittle runs down her cheek. Her black eyes do not blink. Examine Karen. She looks like she's trying to sleep, but her eyes are wide, empty pools of blackness. Examine Gemeraldina. She's curled up with her head between her knees. You can barely hear her sobbing. You talk to her. She looks up at you with black eyes, streaming black tears. Her voice cracks, then buries her head in her hands again. Okay. Still don't have a key to the woodshop door. I don't know if I'm meant to get in there. Let's play the violin. You take a deep breath as you raise the instrument to your chin. You close your eyes, focus on your memory of the tune, and begin to play. It doesn't sound as good as it did in your head, but it gets Alma's attention. She sits up, turns toward the sound. The tune gets better as it goes along, thank goodness, and Alma leans forward, drinking it in. Her eyes are wide, shining like gold. Finally, you let yourself exhale, and she says, "Why'd you stop?" You explain the whole situation. "Oh," she says, "well done. I mean, thank you." You nod. "Is it all right if I borrow this violin?" "I'm pretty sure they'll be okay with that, yes." So we're going to be playing the violin a bunch. Privacy jerks her head toward the sound of the violin. She grunts, but as the song goes on, she sits up straight. She blinks, and the empty blackness disappears from her eyes. You tell her what happened. "Cripes," she says. "Well, at least it's over. Thanks, Ebenezabeth." Then she notices how badly her head hurts and starts rubbing her temples. I'm going to do it for Karen. You don't get through much of the tune before the blackness drains from Karen's eyes. "I love music," she says. "I love dancing and I love singing. And when I was a kid, I had this little guitar and I loved that so much. I needed a normal-sized guitar, Ebenezer." "Yes?" "Thanks for saving my life. Do you want to be in a band with me?" "That sounds fun," you tell her. "We'll have to see if our schedules work out." "Right. I have to worry about regionals first. But when I was a kid, I wrote this song." She starts humming softly to herself, trying to remember. "Well friggin' done, Ebenezer. I owe you one. You'll stay in touch, right?" "I hope so," you say, but you're not sure how that will work. We play for Gemeraldina. She stands up, she steps forward, she makes her way toward the middle of the gymnasium, and she starts dancing. This is the dance team, it makes sense. You feel obligated to quicken the tune to match her movement, but you can't keep up. She's not really dancing along anyway, she's doing her own thing. She's fine. You put the violin away. Aw, she says, but she doesn't stop dancing. That's everybody here. Okay. Let's play the violin for Maal Dweb. You lift the violin to your chin, but Maal Dweb raises an imperious hand. Put the instrument away, little girl. Another recital could do no more than sour the memory of your first performance. Fair enough. Okay. Let's go in the torch. We are in the lounge. The man barely turns his head as you begin to play, but the music slowly catches his attention, and as the melody develops, he seems more and more alert. At last, the black fluid drains from his eyes. When he notices what a wreck the lounge is and starts freaking out, you stop playing and explain everything. Of course, he mutters. We thought we tried everything, but we sure didn't try art therapy. I better contact Charter Station and let them know. Oh, I'm Albus, by the way. I'm supposed to be in charge of this whole operation, but we'll see how long that lasts after the way I fouled this up. Miss Scrooge? Yes? He gets to his feet. Thanks for saving the entire Mars exploration mission. I owe you 5 or 6 favors, or 2 very large favors. He goes on muttering to himself as he shuffles into the offices. I like his arithmetic there. Let's go west and play violin. You begin to play. The woman gasps at the sound, and before long she's watching you gratefully with warm brown eyes. You undo her restraints. It turns out her name is Nesbit. Albus is going to kill me, she says. I told him I wouldn't go looking. Well, he got himself in trouble, too. No, oh no. Have you cured him yet? Yes, he got right back to work. Wonder what would have happened if we cured her before him. Of course he did. You have to understand, he. She winces, grabbing her forehead with both hands. What's wrong, you ask? Just a headache. Stress, she says, and you nod. I'll be fine, Nesbit says. It's just awfully bright in here. You look around for a light switch. There doesn't seem to be anything. I'll be fine, she insists. Let's talk to Albus. Thanks again, Albus says, and what he seems to mean by this is, please leave me alone. I have an impossible amount of work to do. Okay, southwest. I bet the... I wonder. Considering where we encountered the werewolf, I don't think the blacksmith would have been affected, but let's find out. Play the violin for him. You play the violin beautifully, but it doesn't have any obvious effect. Because, yeah, he was fine. Blacksmith and Ebenezer. Well, no. The blacksmith is the only one who was never affected. Ebenezer was affected. Let's play the violin for the sheriff. You raise the violin and begin to play. The sheriff coughs and slime dribbles over his chin, but then his ears perk up. The darkness drains from his eyes and he rights himself in his chair. Where in heck did you learn to play so pretty, little girl? I'm glad you're feeling better, Sheriff. You explained the situation. Is that so? Well, I reckon we can strike the whole business from the ledger, and old Sheriff Paul Chandler can get back to... Let's talk to Paul. Well, says the sheriff, thanks a lot. He looks around for something else to say. Fair enough. Let's go out. Play the violin. You begin to play and the barman straightens up. His head starts to bob in time with the music, and then he starts to applaud. That's some fine playing, little girl. Reminds me of... Well, don't take this the wrong way, but it reminds me of my wife. She used to be a little thing, too, and I used to be... He smiles dreamily. I'm glad you're feeling better, you tell him. You bet I'm feeling better. I feel like I could... Ah, heck, he mutters as his gaze falls on the corpse in the middle of the floor. I forgot all about that. Is there anything I can do to help? He shakes his head. I'll get it taken care of. You go help more folks with that fiddle of yours. And as if you're already gone and there's no one around to hear, he sighs an immense sigh. Thanks, little girl, but you really better get out of here. He's got a point. Okay. That's both areas in Ebenezabeth's quadrant. Go northeast and east. Examine the fire. Here is Kumamoto University Hospital. There is no way that our man did not succumb to Yep. Here we go. Shinji slumped against the wall, mouth hanging open, eyes black. Play violin. You lift the violin and begin to play. One by one, the patients wake up, color returning to their eyes. Some are confused. Some are relieved. One of them looks like he might cry. Shinji is the last to recover. You lower your bow as he begins to speak. Hypothesis I had entertained for a moment early in the investigation, but dismissed as fanciful, now revealed to be true. I ought to have trusted my instinct. Furthermore, I ought to have collaborated more closely with Ebenezabeth, whose skill in such matters clearly counterbalances many of my failings. Maybe we'll get a chance to work together again, you say, and Shinji snaps out of it. He smiles. Thank you very much, Miss Scrooge. Okay. Let's go north and east. Examine torch to Bavaria. Rupert. Rupert and the blacksmith were both fine. That's great. You play the violin beautifully, but it doesn't have any obvious effect. Okay. It's curious that we're not safe here on the hillside, but you know, it's a post game. Who needs to worry? We examine the pole. We climb the pole. Nope, too narrow to climb. Okay, well, let's wake up. It might be something to search later on our own time. We have one last torch. Archie has been affected. Before the tune is half over, Archie's back to his old self. You have a great talent with that instrument, little girl. You paint a picture with your violin. He strokes his beard. I used to paint a picture with charcoals not so long ago. I'd come out to the beach, try to capture the waves in my webs of pencil strokes. I'd take them home and I'd show them my roommate. And he'd say, what is that supposed to be? It's hard to draw waves, but it made me happy. He shakes his head. Anyway, good job. I'll be packing up shop then, Archie says. Pretty soon when I get up the energy. We'll see what tomorrow brings. There was also one other woman in the tent. You lift the violin and begin to play. The woman stirs, and soon she's sitting up, wiping the black oil from her eyes and her chin. It turns out her name is Lilith Eve. My common-law husband and I came to the beach for our monthly frolic. We'd heard rumors about a werewolf, but we thought it was just, a metaphor. But it was real, and you... She runs her fingers over your flaxen curls. You're real, too. Yes. She reels for a second, sits back down. I think I'd better center myself before I go looking for my common-law husband, she says. Okay. I don't think that's Archie, but there's no telling where he is because these are the only two we ever encountered. Let's wake up. And I think that's all of them. Let's go ahead and do them in reverse order. You lift the violin and begin to play. Matten raises his head. As he listens, life returns to his limbs. He casts his gaze across the forest. His eyes are green again. So beautiful, he mutters. If only. Imrath is destroyed, you tell him. He nods. I sense it. You've done quite well, Ebenezabeth. He gets to his feet, still looking this way and that. The woods where I grew up, cursed and haunted they were, but just as lovely as these. Will these work, you ask, holding up your stack of cards? For reading my fortune? He looks them over. Perhaps. And these cards might suit the purpose, but have all Imrath's victims been cured? I'd better make sure, you say. I'll be back. Okay, so we just have to finish curing the rest of the crew then. For Patek, you put the bow to the strings and begin to play. Patek lets go of her axe, begins to sway in time with the music. Her eyes are blue again. Little girl, she whispers, sniffing the forest air. Imrath is... I killed him, you say. Ha! She leaps up triumphantly. You've out-hunted Patek, little girl. A legend is born tonight. She strides over and puts her hands on your shoulders, looking you over closely. When I return to my own time, to the frozen reaches Queen Abe rules, which have no need of any name, I will carve a great whale fang in your likeness. Your beautiful features will watch over my tent and the tents of my descendants. She runs a rough hand over your beautiful features, the better to memorize them. That's a very nice thought, you say. Finally, she lets go of your shoulders. Ebenezabeth Scrooge, she whispers, grinning. Knight of Atlantis, slayer of Imrath. You nod. You play the violin. You raise your bow and begin to play. Kidneret flinches at the sound. Then he relaxes, and as the tune crescendos, he slowly sits up. The black film falls from his eyes. I composed a poem, he says. A poem of my love for Cybermancer King Alkex. A poem of such beauty. Yet I never said it aloud to anyone. I couldn't even bring myself to write it down. But it brought me such joy in my own mind. You stop playing. Would you like to recite it for me? He shrinks back from the idea. That would be gross, but I must thank you, Scrooge. Imrath is slain? You nod. Then our mission ends in success. No thanks to me. We will return to our native realms soon. He turns toward the fire. Until then, I think I will recall my poem to myself. Okay, I think that's all of them. Will these work, you ask, holding up your stack of cards? For reading my fortune? He looks them over. Perhaps. And these cards might suit the purpose, but are you sure you want to know what they have to say? You nod. The two of you sit on the cold ground. Matten takes the stack of cards in his hand, closes his eyes. He shuffles them as well as he can, given they're not all the same size. He shakes his head and blinks as if a sudden wind has unsettled him. These cards have sought you out, Ebenezabeth. I can feel them trying to tell me something. Then he lays them out on the soil between you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He frowns. What's wrong, you ask? Matten goes over the cards again, counting them carefully. He shakes his head. What? What do they say? What's in my future? But Matten only looks up at you silently, infinite pity in his eyes. The end. And now the story really is over. Would you like to restart, restore a save game, or quit? You can also guess what Matten saw in the cards if you like. 7 cards. Can we see the description of the cards? Let's see. We need to find the last time I did inventory. It's been a while. Can we just search the last inventory? Oh, that's in. Okay. We had a Jas card, a Tedic card, a Hanafuda card, a Tarot card, a Set card, a Nucro card, and a Poker card. The Jas card had 4 eyes and was S. The Tarot card had was the 7 of Swords. Ryan does these puzzles, and I'm not very good at them. The Uno card was 2, was it not? A 7-letter word that suggests an unfortunate end. I think that's something that you can find out for yourself if you play the game yourself. And I will think on this some more and consider what answer to reveal when we convene next week. This has been Jay Essen playing Little Match Girl in the Court of Maal Dweb.